Hello and welcome to part 2 of this bird-themed paperback junk journal. I'm so happy that part 1 was actually received so well, and thank you so much for all of your kind comments. They really do mean so much to me. In case you've missed part 1, I've linked that below for you. And here I'm flipping to the next page I want to work on, which is this one on the right, which is fairly blank. And I wanted to add some stenciling to that in this very bright acrylic cheap paint. And I wanted to use one of these, and I ended up going with the one on the right. And these are actually the insides of stencils. I forgot what you would call that. But I've had these for a really long time. I cannot link them because I've had them for years and I really don't remember where I got them from. And I just love the way this turned out. So as you saw, I just used my finger, was too lazy to get out a brush. The fingers are so handy because they're always with you. Then I wanted to try adding these as well with the same technique. And yeah, that didn't turn out so well. And throughout this video, you will see a lot of things going wrong because I'm experimenting. So this is not something I do all the time. I mean, I experiment a lot, but I don't use these techniques that I'm using a lot. So things obviously will go wrong. As you see here, this is a complete catastrophe. So I decided to just go over it with my finger and just have a solid yellow background. And then I'm using these hand-carved, no, they're not hand-carved, they're cut out of foam stamps. And I decided, I think, to go for the bigger one. But I didn't want to stamp it directly on that background because it was extremely uneven and wavy. So I thought I would use my Memento Espresso Truffle ink to stamp that on a vintage German book page first. And then I thought, okay, it's not a perfect stamp. Should I restamp it? And then I reminded myself, this project is about letting go of perfectionism. So just let go. And I decided, okay, let's just do this. And I also didn't use a ruler to tear it. So I just tore around it to have an organic edge, and that would just go on that yellow splot of paint with my Deco Glue. And somehow that footage was cut out. My camera wasn't recording for some reason, but I just attached it, or I just glued it down with my Art Deco glue. So I really love how both of those pages actually turned out. Then I'm moving on to another beautiful page with a handmade paper, and I found this skeleton leaf which was sent to me a while ago. And I also have this beautiful twine which was in the Japanese bento box. I will link that video again for you in case you still haven't seen how awesome these bento boxes from Ahsan's studio are. And I decided to glue that down on the bottom of the leaf just to give it a little more texture. And again, I'm going to use this Art Deco glue. So in my last video, in the first part of this journal, I asked you whether any one of you knew about this Art Deco glue, where to get it. And so many of you guys are so resourceful. It's amazing. So many of you answered that it actually was from Action, which is this Dutch chain that we have. But unfortunately, Action has discontinued this product. So unfortunately, it's not available. Maybe after a lockdown, I don't know. We'll see, but I'm not holding my breath for that. So I'm looking for other alternatives. I did like this one not only because it was really good, but also because it was very cheap. So yes, I know I can use matte medium, but it is just so much more expensive. So now I'm using, or I wanted to do something on the, which page am I actually working on? I think the yellow one, I'm not sure now. And I'm using that beautiful print. This is another one. Oh, I'm actually on the other side, sorry. I'm using this beautiful print from the Digital Collage Club again, and I will again link or list all of the digitals that I'm using from the Digital Collage Club below. And I'm going to use some gesso around the edges because I wanted the edges really to blend into that background paper. And I'm very happy with how this turned out. It just really kind of blends in. So that is the opposite of inking the edges, just making the edges disappear by adding some gesso. And then I wanted to add another one of my handmade stamps with some cheap acrylic paint. This is kind of like an army green almost, I want to say, or it's between a green and a gray, maybe kind of like an olive green gray. So again, I'm just using my fingers because they are super handy and easy to wash. And I'm just adding that for more interest on that page. I only cut out some squares and then glued them a bit wonky on some cardboard, and that's how I got this awesome stamp. I just love this. It goes everywhere. And then I have this wax seal here that I have cut off from also one of the packaging of the Sora Accent Bento Box products, and I attached that with my 3-in-1 glue because I want to make sure it really sticks down well, and the twine I attached with my Deco Glue just to add another dimension, another texture, an accent to this page. And I really love how this page turned out. And then I did something not so smart. I wanted to dry quickly, so I put my heat gun on it. Yeah, what happens to wax when you add heat? It melts. So this beautiful leaf kind of melted away a little bit. So I thought, okay, what can I do to save that? So I used my white Posca paint pen. And first I thought, oh my God, this looks horrible. But once I tried to dab it away, I'm like, actually, it doesn't look so horrible. So I added some more to make that leaf come out a little bit better again. And then I kept playing with it, and I thought, okay, might as well add some on the outside as well to give it a nice frame. And I actually love how that turned out. I will show you a close-up. So there, and it's unique. It's different than adding some gilded wax, which I like doing as well, but I thought for this page, this really worked well, and it brought out the leaf again, so all is good, even though I kind of messed up the leaf first. So next, I am actually working on that yellow page on the left side. This is a handmade page, that paper that was sent to me, and I'm adding this vintage floral illustration from a book that I have, from a German book. And I also wanted to add this beautiful Japanese paper underneath for some more accent. So again, I am adding this with my matte Deco Glue, keeping it simple. So again, these pages, I really wanted to keep them simple. I wanted the materials to speak for themselves, and I didn't want to load it up with a lot of things. I wanted a calm feeling for this journal. Then I found this adorable little fern, which had come in one of the Your Creative Studio boxes. Don't remember when, it was months ago, sometime in 2020. And I was looking for a page where I thought that would go really well, which ended up being this one. And I ended up adding some cheesecloth underneath. This was the one that was dyed with hibiscus. You could also use probably some fruit tea or something if you want to dye your fabrics or cheesecloth in a reddish kind of tone. Again, keeping it very simple and calm, letting the materials speak for themselves, trying to see what is the best placement, and then again, just adding that with my Deco Glue, going over that with the Deco Glue as well. I really wouldn't do this with a shiny Deco Glue or Mod Podge, so be careful if you have the so-called matte Mod Podge. it will still be shiny. But this I really love because you cannot see the glue at all. It's totally matte and it's just beautiful. Moving on to another empty page. We have this large one on the left, and I wanted to add some interest on the background. So I'm again taking like this kind of olive colored cheap craft paint, and I'm adding this to my corrugated cardboard to just add some marks there. And then things start going wrong again. So I have this stencil, and I wanted to stencil this pattern on the bottom right that you see, and I use this kind of like flesh color, and I go over it. Yeah, and then you see it's mostly just a huge mess. So I use a baby wipe to go over that top part to just spread that out. I wanted to leave the bottom because that looked fine. Next, I'm taking a sap green. This is also acrylics. And I wanted to do this coffee stain, but then I saw how deeply green that green was, and I thought, no, let's do a small coffee stain instead. Again, just using my fingers. Again, total mess up. Didn't work, so again, I just spread it with my baby wipe. Decided to spread some more of that on the bottom, which then was a lot. So I wanted to cover some of it up some more, this time using some gesso, which totally splattered out of that bottle. So I put some back. And this is also a handmade stencil, just punching some holes with my hole punch. And again, you see it's a complete mess. Didn't like it. Went over it with my finger. Tore the paper because everything was just too wet. So I decided, okay, let's go back to what actually worked. So I just added some more of that corrugated cardboard. First, again, in the olive, and then I thought, let's just add some bright yellow to it as well. And then I actually liked the background. And I wanted to add some more of these birds from the Digital Collage Club. And I first cut out these two, or I tore out these two here. Are those hummingbirds? I believe they might be hummingbirds, not totally sure. But then I thought, well, if I have both of them, they're completely going to cover my beautiful background. So I decided to only use one of those. And I wanted to add some more bright, cheerful yellow. So this is cheesecloth that I had dyed with turmeric. You should totally try that. Just add even just a quarter of a teaspoon in like 1 cup water, dissolve it and put your cheesecloth in. It is absolutely amazing. So I wanted to give it this background just to make it pop a little bit more. And then I decided I also wanted to add some feathers. I had this one beautiful bright yellow feather. I'm not sure where that one came from, to be honest. And then I thought, okay, let's add some green ones as well. So those I got locally at Sostrene Grene. Europeans will probably know this. And yeah, I just wanted to again add different kind of textures and give it feeling of airy and fluffy. And so again, I attached this, or I adhered this with my Art Deco glue, which is in its last breaths. I only have very little left. And then I realized I glued it the wrong way around, so I was able to take it off again and glue it down the other way. And I'm really happy these prints, even though they are printed with a inkjet printer, that they don't smear when I put the Deco glue on. And then for the feathers, I just added some tacky glue on the middle part and just glued those down. And then I decided to add one more of those tiny green ones. And there's that page. Actually, I really like how that turned out. Then I'm moving on to that opposite page with the beautiful Eco Die from Nick the Booksmith, and I will link those again for you below as well. And I have these hand cut stamps. So I learned how to do this in the course from Roxanne Evans Stout. I will again link that for you as well. So this is the course I took, what was it called? Book of Trees, which I showed in the beginning of part 1. So I made this. So I can't show you how to do this because I don't want to take away from Roxanne's course. But I had a lot of fun making different tree stamps, and I really like how that looks on the page just using my espresso truffle ink. Then I'm moving to the inside of the back cover, and I really love that paper that I have, and I didn't want to cover a lot of it, but I did want to add some more interest. So I had this scrap piece of the turmeric dyed cheesecloth, which I then again added with my Deco Glue. Next, what am I actually doing? Oh yes, I wanted to add a piece of spine from this book, where I obviously already have taken the cover away for another project. And I was trying to get a piece of this glued spine, and I was hoping to get a little bigger piece, but that did not work out. So I got all these little pieces, so I thought, okay, let's see if I can do anything with those. So I have those now, and I'm trying to add some of those in a little bit. And I wanted to add one of these beautiful butterflies, again, Digital Collage Club prints. And I wanted to use a butterfly, and I really liked the shape and design of that one because it kind of looks very vintage and even a little bit art deco, and I thought the colors worked really well with that yellow of the turmeric. So I tore that out, and to add some more interest I wanted to add some of that mesh from the spine, and I just decided to add them so that it looks like it's a bigger piece. So I have part peeking out the top and the bottom, and I have this bottom piece of the feather that I just used on the other page, which I had just cut off because it was too big, and I thought let's just put that underneath the butterfly to give it a more airy feeling. So again, I am attaching everything with my Deco Glue. And here's the final result. Really loving that feather peeking out on the sides. Next, I'm moving on to the inner front cover, which has the same paper. And I choose another butterfly, which was that one, which was also really beautiful. Again, I'm going to just use the butterfly, but this time I'm not tearing it, I am fussy cutting it. Beautiful. And again, I'm going to use this hand cut stamp, and this time I'm adding it by using some gesso. Next, I have this piece of paper, stamped piece of brown paper that I thought would be a really nice accent for the background, so I'm layering that. And finally, I'm adding some more brown twine that I had, and I'm just kind of like bunching that up, and I will put that underneath the butterfly for some extra texture. So that's the inside cover there. And next I wanted to try to sketch my own butterfly, and I thought I would use this one to as a reference. So I am using another paper from the Sora Arsan Studio box, and I started sketching the butterfly there, and of course it wasn't going to be exactly like the one on the left, but that was okay. It was supposed to be inspiration, and also obviously it's not perfect what I'm doing here, but I think it's fine. I really just wanted a rough sketch. I wasn't looking to have a lot of details or anything. I just wanted to enjoy sketching something with my hand because it's been a while since I have sketched anything really. So I really enjoy the process, and I really love the sketchy look. I'm even keeping these sketch lines, you see like the box that I have around it, I'm keeping those because I actually really love that look. I'm just using a regular pencil and really just enjoying that, and I really like that it has a background just to give it a little more interest. So that's all I'm going to do for that. I'm just tearing around it. And I think it's so special to have something hand drawn or hand painted or hand sketched in your journal. And I wanted to put it over this paper, which was also in the Sora Aksan box, because it was just too bright for me, especially with that red, although the paper is beautiful and it's kind of a shame. But for this project, it was too much for me, so I decided to add that. And here I'm showing you how I'm storing my brush with the Art Deco glue on it so that it doesn't dry out in between, because I have thrown away so many brushes because they have dried out on me. And I actually, yeah, I guess you could put it in water as well, but I didn't want to. So I think this is another good method. Just use a baby wipe and put it in there. So I just added some gesso around to get more, to get rid of more of that loud background. And here I took out my pastel sticks, which I've had for such a long time. I bought these locally and I don't use them enough, so I thought I would use them on this. This is also something that Roxanne does in her course with the Book of Trees. And this was way too much, the yellow, and so I took my baby wipe and tried to wipe some of that off, which worked quite well. And then I thought I wanted to add another shade to that. So I used this beautiful olive color that I love so much to kind of grunge it up a little bit more. And this time I didn't blend it first with my finger. I went straight on it with my baby wipe, which makes it more grungy. And now I really loved it. It took away some of that bright yellow and added some more grunginess. So that was perfect for me. Looking for another page. So this one was still very empty. I again wanted to use one of my tree stamps, the one that I had cut myself, again using my espresso truffle ink. It's going to be a super simple page as well, just stamping that on. I just love how well these work. Look at this. I'm always baffled when I take the stamp off how well that actually works. And then I finally found a page where I can use this dragonfly, which was from the Your Creative Studio box from November, a washi tape. So I just put that on the top, something I would usually not do at all, which is why I wanted to do it here. Just trying new things, different things. And I really like the way it looks. Very simple. And I might add more to this and a lot of the other pages. I probably will, like quotes and stuff. But that will be in the next video. So here's another beautiful print of birds from the Digital Collage Club. And I'm using the one that you see there on the top right to add to a page. Again, I'm tearing around it. Kind of feel bad for tearing up these beautiful tags. But for this project, I just thought this would work better. Then I have this wrapping paper. It's a piece of wrapping paper that has these beautiful skeleton leaves inside, and I have it in pink and in light blue. And I decided to cut around this leaf. Look how beautiful the veins are. and I decided to add that as a background accent for these birds. Trying to find the best position. And I decided that although the paper is beautiful, and this was again from the Sorax box, I'm not sponsored by them at all. I bought it with my own money and it was totally worth it. And yeah, it's too bad I was covering it up with gesso, and as you maybe saw, I used my spatula this time. I just thought it was way too dark for what I wanted to add to it. So after adding the gesso, I added some like peach color, and then I'm adding some tan there with my pastels, always blending them with my baby wipe. And I thought that looked a lot better, but then I wanted to add some more pink, and I added it actually to those white edges of my printout, which is something I never do. I just wanted to give it a try. And lastly, I'm again attaching everything, or I always say attaching, adhering everything with my Art Deco glue. Again, a simple page, loving the colors. This page has such warm tones. I love the mixture of the pink and that kind of like beige yellow. And on the opposite side, I wanted to add some leaves. So these were some leaves I found last autumn, and I just pressed them under some books for a few days. And I really love this shape in particular. So I decided those will be the two that I would add on the page, and I wanted to add some more of this beautiful silver sparkly twine, which was also from some of the packaging of the Sora Achsan bento box. So I tied it around the stem with a double knot, and I'm using another one, different one, for the bottom leaf. I just love these kind of twines. They give such amazing, adorable accents to whatever project you have, and you don't need a lot. And if you're looking for these, actually, just look on Etsy, search for Avril yarn, which is spelled Avril yarn. You will find a lot of shops that sell these in all kinds of shapes and colors. Absolutely beautiful. So again, I adhered everything with the Deco glue, and once it had semi-dried, that is what it looked like. I did not glue down the ends of the twine because I wanted those to be loose to add some more texture. Flipping through to see what other pages I needed to do, and so I came across this one. You see the glue underneath, and I used double-sided tape for that, and I hated the look of that, so I wanted to get rid of that completely, and I used another page from my vintage botanical book in German, and I tore around the image to make it a little smaller to make it fit better, and I am again adhering that with my Deco glue, and I'm also going to go around this with my white gesso again after that had dry, just with my finger, and I kind of went overboard as I usually do. I have too much on my finger, and so it kind of gets everywhere on my mat and in the middle where I didn't want it. But I was able to wipe most of that away again with the wet baby wipe, as long as it hadn't dried yet. And I thought no journal of mine is really complete without a stain from my Distress Stain Wild Honey. And I got a really cool tip from my friend Ray. She said wet the tip first, dauber first with your spray bottle, and then it will give you a much more juicy splatter. So that worked really well. This was the first time I was trying that. So thank you, Ray. That was an awesome tip. If you don't have one of these daubers, and they have been discontinued, so that's why I'm not linking them, this is what it looked like once it had mostly dried, then just use some watercolor paint and you can blow it with a straw. I hope to see you back here for part 3. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Mwah.